centre. Oh, this could be an opening. The man didn't want to have the opening. It's Lawrence Sheffield. That is the moment. The moment of matters.
Welcome back, everyone, to Hearts on Sleeves podcast. It's a podcast that's all about Heart of Midlothian Football Club, its fans, and the ups and downs we experience on the way, both on and off the pitch. This week, I'm currently joined by Adam and John. Trunter's hoping to join us later. John, I'm going to come to you first of all. You weren't feeling too well at the weekend. You're unable to make the Dundee game, unfortunately. How are you feeling now?
After the result, I felt a lot better. But yeah, I'm doing okay. I've still got a wee bit of fatigue, but I feel all right.
Yes, knackered after yesterday as well, not due to an illness thing, but from the emotional roller coaster that was that game. Adam, how are you feeling after it?
Yeah, I'm feeling great after beating Dundee. I think every match starting to believe a bit more that we could win the league, and yeah, I'm not sure how I'm going to survive the next few months with this level of nerves. But yeah, brilliant to see us win in that style.
So me and Adam went across to the Dundee game, left nice and early, and met a couple of friends on the way over as well. A bizarrely small train for the amount of Hearts fans that were going across, travelling there and back. You'd think that ScotRail could put on a few extra carriages, but they never seem to learn, do they? However, it kind of only added to the atmosphere and excitement on the train. It was my first time to Dens Park. I liked it. I'd actually been to Tannadice, but I'd never really realised, even then, just how close Dens Park was to Tannadice. It's ridiculous how close it is. The stadium itself is a bit sort of more, as far as comparing it to Tannadice, it just looks almost slightly under construction. Part of it, it either needs a bit more work done to it, or it's currently having work done to it. But I kind of don't mind that. It reminds me of the old sort of shed stand at Tynecastle, a lot of it. So it's quite a nice wee sort of throwback.
So I think it's really interesting because I think basically the two stands behind the goals are a bit more new. So you've got a weird kind of combination of like modern, slightly modern stands, and obviously the other two that are really old. I mean, I know the main stand was Archibald Leach. I think they did it. Who obviously did the old stand at Hearts as well. So I quite like going to those grounds where there's a bit more character, and it's not just the kind of standard new stands. So I think it's quite an interesting ground.
Yeah, it's kind of got a bit of soul to it or something, doesn't it? It's it's good to have another one chalked off the list as a goal pass through each of the stadiums. I'm trying to think if there's any I've still not been to Pittodrie, but hopefully one day I'll get along to it. Not that we ever seem to get a result there. However, we did manage to get a result at Dens Park. Let's talk about that game then. So, first of all, the lineup. Schwolo was in goals. Then, as we sort of suspected, Altina was back starting again at right back. Halkett and Finlay were the two centre backs. No great surprise there. However, the big surprise was McCart coming in at left back. Now, we did know that Milne was injured. There's kind of been a bit of back and forth as to how injured he might actually be. I think last I heard it's probably just going to be a couple of weeks. There was some rumours circulating it was going to be out for the season, but it does sound just more like it's a couple of weeks. Kingsley, unfortunately, also got injured in the week, so it did really leave us short of options there. McCart has played at left back at some point in his career, so due to lack of other options, he was stuck in that position. In midfield, we had Benny and Devlin as normal. Then up front, we had Magnuson. He kind of played off to the right again. And then you had sort of more centrally Braga and Shankland, then Kizaridis. Thoughts on the lineup then, John?
I think it was kind of as expected, obviously apart from McCart. But I mean, realistically, looking at that position, without Kingsley or Milne, I don't really think there was too many other options other than playing someone like right-footed or maybe Finlay at left back. But yeah, I think it was as we probably would have expected for Dundee.
What was your feelings, Adam, about that first half? Now, obviously, we got the goal on the 27-minute mark. They did have a couple of opportunities. Actually, within the first couple of minutes, they had a really big opportunity. Schwallow was equal to it, though. We'll come up to the sort of big talking points, the goal itself and the sending off of Schwallow. We'll come on to it in a second. What's your general thoughts about that first half? Any performances or individuals you'd like to talk about first of all?
But after the first few minutes, we were actually fine, and I thought after we went 1-0 up, to be honest, I thought we might go 2-0 up before half time, and I personally think it would have been a fairly comfortable match if it hadn't been for the red card at the end of the half. I don't know what you guys think, but I just felt like I don't think we were brilliant, but I think if it had been 1-0 at half time, I think we'd have gone on to maybe win 2-0 or 3-0.
I definitely agree. I think it was only going to go one way after we scored. And that's no disrespect to them, because I actually thought they were not bad. But I think you're right. I think, the red card doesn't happen. Maybe it goes into half time 1-0, come out second half. I think we would have walked through them after that.
I mean, Presley said after the game that he felt they were the better team in the first half. I think, if you look at sort of as far as stats go and everything, possession particularly, perhaps they would have edged it. But I'm like yourselves. I didn't feel in that first half that there was too many times my heart was in my mouth or anything like that. I didn't feel there's too many situations where I felt they were going to really come into it. Yeah, it would have been interesting to see what would have happened in that second half. We changed things quite a bit around in that second half, and it led to a very different performance, and we'll talk about that in a tick. The goal from Braga then, now there has been a bit of contention about this. So, I mean, first of all, Braga's finish, fantastic. It was just the touch was a bit messy at first, but to then somehow get a shot away from that angle and get it spot on was fantastic. The free kick, though, have you seen some of the controversy surrounding it at all?
Yeah, it's a load of rubbish, to be honest. If we're seriously trying to, people are really complaining about things like that. Every single foul, the referee's going to have to get the spray out, spray where the guy fell on the ground, make sure the ball's exactly on the line. Same with throw-ins. If that's the case, nobody can take a yard from a throw-in. It's nonsense. Like, what are they really expecting the VAR to do as well? They're not going to pull it back and be like, "Oh no, he kicked the ball from 5 yards too far forward."
Absolutely. I mean, I think when you're taking a free kick in your own half, whether it's like a couple of yards away or whatever, I don't think the opposition really can have any complaints about it.
The ball's what, like about 60 yards from the goal?
Yeah, I mean, the reason we scored is because of how we did with it and how they didn't react well enough to our free kick. But I don't think you can blame that us not taking it correctly. I think that's just kind of sour grapes, to be honest.
Even if Devlin does take it from the right place, that pass is still going straight to Shankland. He's still playing on to Braga. It's not that different outcome. Like, if they're talking about the distance, that has no relevance. Fair enough how quickly he takes it, but he's allowed to take it quickly.
I mean, when I saw it at the time, I didn't notice anything was wrong whatsoever. And it wasn't until one of my Hibs friends messaged talking about the free kick and basically how it shouldn't have stayed. And then even when I saw it, I was like, really? That's what you're complaining about? There's one sort of aspect as well that the argument is the ball didn't stop before he kicked it. But even then, how many sort of quick free kicks have you seen? In my opinion, I think it pretty much did just stop it. Look, it's not totally stationary up until, right before he kicks it. You're just sort of splitting hairs at this point, really. I'm with you both. You've seen these ones a number of times, and the fact the VAR didn't chop it off says it all. So no, I was like, if it happened to me, I can say quite, if it happened to Hearts, I can say quite confidently I wouldn't probably find much to complain about, to be honest.
You'd be retaking like 20 free kicks a game,
That's what I mean. Like, how long would the game go on for? Or
Yeah.
how long would you actually be playing the game if every single free kick and throw in has to be at the exact spot? Like it's rubbish. You can't play football that way.
I don't know about you, Jamie, but I didn't even know at the time that there was
No.
even a country. I wasn't until that
I thought
evening.
they were checking for offside. I even watching on the TV, I was like, even the commentators didn't really know what was going on. It's
And
nonsense.
even when I saw the highlights, like until they actually said what was going on, I still was like, "What's wrong with that free kick?" So it wasn't obvious at all. So I just think, I think it's nothing in it, to be honest.
When afterwards, when there was sort of some boos, I didn't actually realise that it was a crowd booing. I thought it was just people delayed zoos with the, the Braga thing. So,
I didn't know that. Yeah, I think I felt the same.
yeah. I mean, the other, so let's just talk about the other VAR controversy. John, I'll come to you again, first of all. The sending off, your thoughts on it?
I'm not having it. I think it's ridiculous. I mean, you can understand, say the guy takes it past Swallow, he's maybe got just Halkett to play the ball past. Swallow takes him out, fair enough, red card. He's got a clear shot on goal. He's going away from goal, like literally, not even like slightly. He is facing off the pitch, takes a touch that way. McCart is, within like 5-6 yards of him. Halkett's on the line. How is that clear, like a clear goal scoring opportunity?
Adam, what's your thoughts?
I think it was a really harsh red card. I mean, kind of echoing what John said, he was going away from goal, and I watched the highlights again. I still think it was harsh. I think it was a really, really harsh one on Swallow, definitely.
So I'll be honest, I'm kind of in the middle a bit, because there was an offside check on Eugene just before Swallow took him out, but I remember McKinnon saying there could have been an offside call before that. I'll be honest, I've not seen that, but there's some debate over that. So as far as the foul itself goes, the ruling used to be sort of last man. It wasn't last man because you could see it was Halkett was coming back. I understand the thought process about him being away from it. If he got round the keeper, would he have had a decent chance of getting a clean shot and goal? I think he possibly would have done. He would have been up against a defender who's not allowed to use his hands. But at the same time, would he, he was kind of turning away from him, as you say, and coming away from goal. So there's kind of a lot to work through for it. I can see both sides, and I'm trying to be a bit more sort of on the fence about it. I'm a jambo, so obviously my heart says it's not a sending off, but either way, it was a bit of a contentious one. Do you think that it will be appealed?
It's a tough one. I mean, obviously we've got Gordon,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like if he misses one game, we've got such a good backup there. I mean, it's probably one of those ones where you're just looking at it and thinking, is it worth trying to appeal it, when most likely they're just going to say no.
I know.
I think
But
they've rejected the appeal. It's that kind of one, isn't it? I can't see them.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if we won the appeal, even though I don't think it was the right decision.
One thing that's kind of gone on the radar with the whole thing for me, like sort of aside from the red card, was Altena. He just completely like switched off.
All right.
I thought he had quite. I mean, he wasn't awful, but I thought he had quite a poor half defensively. He got beaten very quickly, like early on, and then he just like completely switched off. So kind of a slight worry. Obviously, it's only the second game, but another right back who maybe isn't that strong defensively.
So I think that must have played into McInnes's thoughts at halftime because he was substituted off. My feeling was that he started off slow, but he came into the game a bit more as it went on. I didn't clock that mistake for before the sending off that you were saying there, John. So I'll need to have a look back on that. Yeah, I guess, is he brought in more as defensive or attacking option? Would we wanting to think about bringing in another right back in that case, or do you feel happy with Steinvender's performance in that second half? And I suppose we've also got McEntee coming back. Do you think that's maybe still an area that we need to work on a bit?
I don't see us doing anything more immediately. But I think the thing as well with Altena, he's clearly more of like a wing back.
Yeah.
But I feel like to play him to his best ability, you probably need to have either a centre midfielder sort of dropping him when he goes forward or an extra centre back, which I don't see us doing, unless then you have to sort of say who goes left. You drop Kizzy back to like a left wing back or play Milne left wing back. I don't know if it works with the way we want to play, but yeah, I don't think we will do anything on it. And again, like I said, it's only the second game, so it may just be getting used to like the speed of the game or something like that. But he does look good going forward, so that's obviously a positive. But I think you're spot on the Steinvender sub as well. I think McInnes actually got that spot on. It's the right thing to do.
And to be fair, so whilst we're on Steinvinder, I think he did have a bit of a tricky game as well at times because they were focusing a lot of their attacks up there. I remember sort of saying to you, Adam, that he seemed to be struggling, but I kind of reflected on it a bit more. And then if you think about most of the crosses that St Mirren were putting into the box, they were all from quite a bit of distance, just almost from the... He was doing a pretty good job of like herding them back. So whilst he might not be able to get the ball, he's doing a good job of holding them back so that the crosses aren't coming in at short distance and meaning that you can just use Halkett to head it away or whatever. So my opinions changed slightly. I did feel tackling wise Steinvender wasn't quite getting it or getting the player, but then maybe that's not what he's trying to do.
It's probably a lot different watching at the game as well. Like, see, for me watching TV, I thought he was pretty solid.
Yeah.
He had a hard task, but most of the time his job was literally just, like you said, trying to make the cross difficult. And the guy who was up against that Yogin's pretty decent one-on-one. Like he was pretty good. But yeah, actually it was all right. I mean, it's not like he was coming on to, take the ball and go striding forward. He was there just to try and be difficult. And I think it was the right sub, to be honest.
So just before halftime, Braga need to make way for Craig Gordon. We kind of talked a bit about it at the time, Adam, just that it made sense, I suppose, to take off an attacker in that situation and try and take stock at half-time. Braga seemed kind of the obvious choice, didn't he?
I think Braga's really unlucky to come off, but I think it kind of had to be him because you're going to keep Shankland on as the captain. I think he's got a lot he can contribute, so I think Braga was really unlucky. But I think McInnes made the right call.
The other thing we should have actually mentioned was, as far as substitutes go, was that, of course, Chesnikov was on the bench, and we did wonder if we'd see him come on. But I suppose just that, as soon as the sending off happened, I felt the writing was on the wall there. It's quite unlikely we'd get to see him, and sure enough, hopefully we'll get to see him on Wednesday against St Mirren, but there was no minutes for him in this game. The second half was a pretty different tale. You could see the changes that were made were very defensive. And the changes not just to the squad, but to the setup as a whole. It was really a sort of digging in performance to just try and keep hold of that and then keep hold of that lead, and then later on, about 70-minute mark, we brought in Kabore just for a bit more energy. I think Shanklin did eventually come off for that, and I presume the reasoning behind that was just a bit of pace. Obviously, Shanklin offers a lot as far as hold up play goes, and obviously a fantastic finisher as well. But we weren't getting much joy up there up front throughout that second half. So someone with a bit of pace did make sense.
I was actually really impressed by Kabari.
So was I, yeah.
I thought he put in a really good shift and made a big difference in us holding on to the win. I thought he did really, really well, especially since it's the first game he's played for us for a few weeks, obviously being away for the African nations. But I was really impressed.
I think McInnes made that decision not just from hopefully he can score a goal point of view, but just really to try and offer something different up front to give Dundee something different to think about, because that's going to form part of the strategy to try and hoof the ball down to him, get him to run onto the end of it, even if it's not to make an attempt on goal, just to get the ball downfield away from our goal. John, what was your thoughts in that second half then?
To be honest, I think what you said about Kabore is right. I think that sub was definitely correct. I was kind of surprised that Magnuson stayed on, because I thought he was pretty poor in the first half. It wasn't in the game at all. We kept giving it away. But saying that, I actually have to agree with McInnes. Keeping on was the best decision, because he sort of put him just in front of Steinwender, and I think again that's a key part of sort of stopping those attacks down the left. And yeah, I thought he did his job in the second half very well. But yeah, Kabore just ran everywhere. He chased after everything. There was one time I think it was on the left. The ball was kind of up in the air. He took it down and just knocked the ball past the Dundee defender. Just ran like right down to the corner. I was like, fair enough. Like that's exactly what we need from him.
Yeah, you could almost see what McInnes's instructions were for him.
Yeah.
It's interesting because we talked about the frustration of Magnuson in the previous game, and it's a slightly different frustration. I completely agree. He didn't have a great first half. I think he did come into it more in that second half. And what I'd say about this about him is he also just seemed to get stuck in, even when things weren't going his way. He didn't really hide in that. I can see why McInnes kept him on. The one thing obviously we're going to come into Craig Gordon's moment, but the other thing I want to mention in the after-match interview with McInnes, obviously the praise was coming for Gordon, but McInnes took a moment just to mention McCart as well, and I think deservedly so, because that was a difficult position for him to come into, one he'd not done before, not one he'd done in years, and not one he'd done before with Hearts, certainly not during the league and not during the League Cup. So yeah, I think he did a really good job. The fact, I don't remember a huge amount from his game, but I think that's probably a good thing. He seemed to do a pretty decent job down that side, and yeah, I think that's the really key thing about our squad. They're a squad of players who can quite often come into different positions and still do a pretty good job. McEntee is a shining example of that. But you can see it all across the pitch, regardless of what McInnes tells them to do. They nearly always do a very solid job of it. So yeah, I think McInnes is totally right to give a good bit of praise to McCart.
It's pretty amazing to think we had our two first choice left backs out, and I'd say these are the kind of players like McCart that could make the difference.
Mm-hmm.
As the season goes on with injuries and suspensions.
We just dealt with everything so well. Like Halkett won pretty much every single ball that went into the box. It was actually quite comfortable watching on TV.
I remember actually when we got McInnes in one of our very first podcasts, we did mention that McInnes is a manager who's quite often does try and hold on to a single goal lead, as we've seen in the evidence in the last two games, and he'll quite often opt for the more safe route. than risking it to try and get a second. But you can definitely understand it for this one, where we did have a man down away from home. It all made perfect sense, and it was all going absolutely to plan up until the last few seconds of the game. Adam, what did you think at the time?
I mean, I thought it was a goal. A pretty good view of it. Obviously, we were down the other end, but yeah, I just thought it was. I thought as soon as he hit it, it was a goal.
It was one of those ones where I celebrated, but at the same time, I still almost thought it'd gone in. It was just, I
Yeah,
couldn't believe. I genuinely couldn't believe he'd managed to save it. Because even though we were down the other side, we were like we could see it, so I mean, pretty much head on, to be honest. So it was genuine disbelief that it stayed out. He just seemed to grow an extra 5 inches or something. Is it the best save you've ever seen? Certainly in person.
I mean, it's up there with some other Craig Gordon ones, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't put it ahead of it, but the other one that kind of stood out for me as a incredible save, and just what it meant as well, was in the Scottish Cup semi against Hibs. And Porteous had a header towards the end of the second half. It would have made it 1-1, and Hibs were really on top at this point. And if we'd scored it, they probably would have gone on to win it, I think. And obviously we've got that fantastic record where we've never been beaten at Hampden or anywhere outside of Edinburgh by Hibs. And he managed to preserve that record with an unbelievable save from a corner, I think it was. So that's the only one I could think of that could really compare to it, that I'd seen in the flesh, really. But the other one that jumped out at me that I know that a lot of people are going to mention is that double save. Where does it rank for you, John?
Yeah, I think it's right up there, like with the importance of it as well. Say we get to end the season and win by 2 points or something, just obviously hypothetically, you could look back and go that save could be the deciding moment. It's that good a save. It's in such a like vital moment of the game as well to do that last kick of the ball or last save of the ball, and yeah, like to come on to the pitch as well and be that good, without
Yeah.
playing any other games is crazy.
And it's the first time I've really ever seen people genuinely celebrate a save like a goal. People were just going absolutely mental in that away end, and it was amazing. One of the possibly my favourite victory of the season, just because we looked down. I wouldn't say we looked down and out, but when you go down to 10 men and you're so desperate to preserve that lead at the top of the table, you fear the worst, don't you? But to see us manage to grind out a victory against those circumstances, and it's just so much more satisfying seeing a save right in the dying seconds and a goal for some reason. I don't know what it is, but also the fact it's just Craig Gordon.
I mean, we could have a whole podcast on Gordon, couldn't we? He's just an incredible player, and I'd say it's probably the biggest 3 points of the season. I think that's kind of what McInnes said later. But yeah, Gordon's just we're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate him until he retires, I'd say.
So we've now been joined by Trunter, and we're going to look all together at the transfers that have been happening and are looking potentially like they might happen. First of all, Xander Clark. He has gone to Doncaster, a League One team in England who are struggling at the moment. Fingers crossed he can help them. We've had interest from Kilmarnock, who are looking to take Alan Forrest. I don't know if it's on loan or if they're just looking to buy him outright. He's been an option for us, but I feel that, it's not a player we're going to, I mean, that sounds a bit harsh to say, but it's probably not going to be a player we'll hugely miss in the squad. he's done a good job for us over the years. I suspect this will be the last time we see him in maroon. He's had a couple of good moments for us. I think that the standout really has to be that Derby goal, but unfortunately, kind of like George Grant, actually, his highlight was a Derby goal as well, but in the end, it was a result that's not going to be one that will be remembered. So, yes, all the best to him if he does go, and I suspect he probably will be away come the end of the January window. The other thing that's happened since we last recorded, we did talk about a player that was rumoured to be that we'd have interest in. His name's Roger Mato. He's the Ugandan forward, and it's now been confirmed that, or it's not quite confirmed by the club, but by journalists, that we put in a 300,000 bid for him. However, the team from Macedonia that plays at FK Vardar, they're playing hardball a wee bit, and they've got a journalist over in Macedonia trying to throw spanner in the works and try and get as much as he can for him. And fair play, of course, he's quite an asset for them, and the fact they know that he's been selected by Jamestown, and he's still quite young. He's only 22, and he is the league's Macedonian top flight's top scorer at the moment. And I think you said FK Vardar are undefeated at the moment, and they're halfway through their season, so they're going to try and hold on to him, or at least get a really good amount from him. So we'll see how that one plays out. What are you thinking? Do you think we'll get him at all, John? How are you feeling about this one?
I think it'd be a great signing if we can. I've been trying to keep an eye on just sort of daily, just check and see if there's any updates on it. There's been a few other teams rumoured to be interested as well. I think it was a Dynamo Bucharest or Dinamo Bucharest who have just started being mentioned, but the big one's Trabzonspor. There's
Oh, yeah.
again, it could all just be rumours, but there's a lot of rumours saying that they've agreed a fee already with them, or they've put in a bid for the asking price. And I think the last thing I read was that it was something to do with they need to free up like an international squad spot, so they need to get rid of someone to be able to sign them. Again, don't know how true that is, but yeah, certainly seems that we've got some decent competition.
So the journalist who keeps on, he's a Macedonian journalist. He keeps on leaking information about what's going on. And I remember you mentioned something along the lines of the Vardar have now put in a buyout clause of worth over like $1 million or something like that. It's like, hang on, you can't just alter his contract without getting Rogers Mato to agree to it and sign it. So I think there's kind of a lot of fabrications, and yes, they're doing everything they can to squeeze every last dime out of us, I think, as far as this goes. How are you feeling about the transfer window so far, Trunter? And how are you doing? We've not had a check-in with you. How are you doing, Trunter?
I'm doing good, thanks, bro. Throat's a wee bit sore. We've been doing stuff with the band. I've just basically been recording vocals, so if I sound a bit wonkums at any point, I think I've hurt my vocal cords a little bit. I feel all right just now, but I was catching myself mid-sentence when I was at work earlier, like, oh. So that might happen. Enjoy that. But yeah, other than that, really, really good. And obviously Geordie's like class. Like, I'm dead excited about that. The whole thing that's going on with this new guy. I'm just wondering if I'm just wondering if it's going to be. Well, first of all, do we need another winger? But I think that there's other, like, if we were going to splash, like, obviously 300k apparently has been pied off, but like more than that, like, shouldn't we be looking at something else? We're talking about Benny going, so I'm kind of worried about the state of the midfield a little bit. Magnuson, I thought Magnuson was pretty pish against Dundee. Not that I'm chuffed about that then. But there's no like honestly, it's so silly because it's all from when me and Adam were at St Mirren, and I just didn't like the way I didn't like the way that Magnussen was playing passes to James Wilson when they were warming up, and then the fact that he's the shittest header of a ball I've ever seen in my life. But like yeah, he's good at lots of stuff, eh? But I don't know. I think there's other areas, and yeah, I just don't think we should be focusing on more wingers when there's. I think the heart of a football team's the midfield, really. I'd really like to get someone in that we can kind of like build a team around. Yeah, but other than that, yeah, don't know.
Yeah, and I think sort of past couple of games, it's kind of shone a bit of light. I do think that there might be a feeling that Magnussen could be one of those players that we could build a midfield around at some point. I agree with you. He's not that player now. Where there will be maybe even next season potentially. But
I
we've
don't
kind of
think so.
seen
There's two like he's too like the fundamentals that I've seen from him that piss me off about him. That's the problem. I understand that people are saying that like yeah he's got a lot to his game. He's a real like box to box midfielder. But there's when I see a player that can you know no footballer that I would want to like really like bet on as being like a winner would be as shit as like at fundamentals as I've kind of seen. Like there are really good points, but like no, he's not the all round player. Definitely not the kind of guy that you'd want. He's not going to replace Benny. I mean, I know Benny's got his limitations as well, but yeah, there's just something about him that I just don't trust.
I've certainly seen the limitations of
Sure.
our midfield recently. I think that's when this when our team looks like they're under a bit of stress and pressure, I do think that Benny and Devlin have looked like they're kind of resorting back to the days when they just pass it back and pass sideways. I really want to see us attack more from the midfield, and I think Ajo could be the answer there. But we won't know until he comes back in February. Hopefully, he is the answer.
I'm still excited for Ajo. Like
Yeah,
still so excited. I think yeah, that'd be if he turns out to be even like a fraction of the player that we kind of have all been hoping for, then oofed.
going back to Mato, actually, I was just sort of looking up some of the stats on him. Like, I think the good thing about Jamestown is if whatever goes on with, and I do think we will actually end up signing Mato. If there's been too much back and forth for it to not go through at this point, and um, I know from what I'm hearing, I think he should be on his way at some point. I think he probably will get through before the end of his window, and I hope he does because I mean, honestly, his stats are pretty crazy. The fact he's only 22 and already had 41 international caps is pretty impressive. But the thing that struck me most is his youth career was spent at a team called Maroons. So to me, it just seems like it's written in the stars, quite frankly.
Like Larry Kingston,
And he played for,
Hearts of Oak.
indeed. Adam, how are you feeling about transfer window so far?
It's been very good so far, getting Altena and Jesnikov right at the start, getting things done early. And then I think we're signing another two players, winger and a striker. Yeah, it's the least worried I've been about a transfer window, I'd say, because I feel like we got what we really needed done straight away.
Is Mato going to be more of a winger or a striker? Because I can see he's obviously scoring plenty of goals, and I've heard that he can potentially play as a winger or as centre forward. What are people's thoughts about whether he'll come in as a striker or more as a wing player?
I think
If
he'll be a
he's a
winger.
winger, is he a winger? He is a winger, isn't he, John?
I think predominantly plays in the wing, but I also just think, if you look at what we've got Shankland, Braga, Kabori is probably the next one, who obviously we've seen he can't really play on the wing. I think Matt will just come in and sort of be a backup to Kizzy effectively, or maybe a bit more sort of he'll play there if need be. If say we get an injury or suspension, he'll be moved up to striker. I think it just depends on the game.
But that's rubbish though. If we're talking about that amount of money, though, like that's just what worries me, is that like we all think that we're rocking with these kind of figures, which we don't have, and we're talking about someone that's going to come in and back up Kizzy and maybe like back up Braga. That is maybe a striker. That's not the player we should be looking for, surely, right? If we're talking about that much money.
Depends though, because we might take the first offer that comes for Kizzy or Braga, and then suddenly he becomes a starter.
I mean,
that's the
sorry,
way
man.
Jamestown works, isn't it?
I just
Suppose.
feel like maybe we made that initial offer 300 grand or whatever, and that's what we want. That's what we were offering, but there's no proof that we're actually going to offer much more than that, is there? I don't think we'll get messed around with in the transfer window. I don't think we need to, because we've got other options.
I think there was it 2 offers we made?
Yeah, as I said that, I
That's
remember they
that's
did
kind
say
of it,
that.
isn't it? Like
But
I don't see us doing any more.
I can't see us working at a massive amount, because why would we? There'll be other options available. So I don't think we'll pay a huge fee for someone like that, even though he said it could be a good sign-in.
What do you think we need? Like, what should we be looking if we're talking about splashing money? Where should we really be looking?
I probably would say a winger, or maybe a winger and then secondary, like a sort of target man striker. Don't feel like we have like someone who's like, obviously Shanklin's not bad at holding the ball up, but it'd be good to have someone who's really physical up front.
Hmm.
Just to hold it up and knock it on to Braga and stuff if that's the way we want to play. But yeah, I think a left winger just to give Kizzy some help.
Yeah, I mean, as far as it's difficult to say, because I think one of the areas that I've felt we've been missing is really creativity in the centre of midfield. I think we have the answer there with Ajo, but we won't get him until February. So I don't think it's worth us dipping into the market to get another one like that. I'm still not convinced I know what Magnuson's best position is yet. It's to me, he's still a bit of an enigma as a player. Could he be the guy who can be creative? As I've said before, I actually thought McEntee showed a decent bit of creativity when he played in the midfield, and he
Yep.
was could also do the defensive side of things. So I'd like to see him come back in there. I don't, if we're looking at perhaps phasing Benny out, it does sound like he's. We all know what he's capable of, and I'm not questioning his ability. And he's exceptional at what he does. But just if we're looking at ways to try and get something a bit different from his team, perhaps McEntee is the answer there. Someone who's able to balance a bit of the defensive side as well as creativity in midfield. And now that we've got Altina at right back, we won't have to rely on McEntee doing that role. So for me, it's not necessarily about signing more players. I'm very happy with what we've got at the moment, although I'd love to see Mato come in. I do echo the thought that it'd be good to have another target man there. I agree with you there, John. But for me, it's less about transfers. It's more about getting those players back from injury. 2 games this week then. We've got St Mirren on the Wednesday in the league, and then we've got a Saturday night game under the lights against Falkirk. Our first game in the Scottish Cup. Let's look at the St Mirren game first of all. Now, John, you were saying earlier that St Mirren have got a number of injury concerns ahead of the game. Have you got a list of some of the players that are out for them?
Yeah, so I saw a couple of St Mirren fans talking about him. Looks like they're missing quite a lot of key ones. So they're missing Mark O'Hara, the captain, Killian Phillips, Liam Donnelly, Keanu Bacchus, that's 4 midfielders right there. Shamal George, the keeper, who was pretty good against us, and then a Yunga up front. Some big players.
Yeah. And I mean, I have to say they were distinctly unimpressive against Falkirk at the weekend. I know St have been a bit of a bogey team for us in the past. There was a point in time where I feel like Stephen Robinson used to just axe our managers continually, like that Grim Reaper meme. He just work his way through them, but I really feel quite confident ahead of this game. There are some players that will still be concerned about. Mandron, for example, I always think he's a guy that can present a bit of danger, and I do think there's still some solid players in there. But it's definitely a game I think we can just go into and attack them from the off. How are you feeling about this one, Adam?
I am feeling very confident. I know John mentioned there's a few players out, and I think after the Dundee game, with this home game coming up, I think we'll go out there and have a comfortable win. I hope so, because I can't take another half like the Dundee one.
I mean, it has been 3 straight defeats now for St Mirren. Tanner, what are you thinking about as we go into this match? Anything you're expecting from either the St Mirren team or the Hearts team? And feel free to give us your prediction for it as well.
I think the fact that as me and Adam were told when we were in St Mirren the first time, the second best midfield in Scotland, half of them are out. It's good that Bacchus is out as well, and they're on not a great run of form, and I don't think we're exactly flying at the moment. Obviously, the Dundee game had its ups and downs. I think I've got like a mental block for St Mirren, where I can't see us winning at the moment against them, but I think we will. I think it's just it's trauma. Um, honestly, I think we're gonna. I think we'll do them. I think it'll be 2-0 Hearts. Like I don't see. I don't think they've got enough. Like they've got too many key men out. I think we'll be all right. I think it's going to be 2-0.
Who are you picking for scorers in that one?
Stephen Presley and Craig Gordon.
Okay, right. They're unlikely scorers, but you never know. You get pretty decent odds on them, I suspect.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, right. Probably Shanks and Braga then.
So St Mirren are, alongside Motherwell, the only team that we've not been at. We've played them twice and still not beaten them. This is undoubtedly our best opportunity to set that straight, John. We've not had, since probably that Dundee home game, a really resounding victory against a team. Could this be the one where we're able to get? I mean, it's pretty soon after the Dundee away game, so perhaps we'd have a few tired players, and we've also got the game against Falkirk just a couple of days after that. So, how are you feeling? Do you think this will just be a 1 or 2 goal game, or do you think this is really a great opportunity for us to give a really standout statement win?
Yeah, I think this could be the one that we sort of put a marker down. I think with them missing players, us being at home, I feel like the players probably feel like they're due them a doing as well. So I'd probably say I'm going to go with 3-1. I'm going to say Kizzy, Shanks, and Chesnikov.
Okay, Adam, your thoughts ahead of the St Mirren game before we look at the Falkirk one?
Yeah, I'm going to go for 3-0 Hearts. I think it's time for us to just properly beat them finally.
Yeah, and they've not managed to score in the last past couple of games, St Mirren. So I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to go for a 3-0 as well, actually. 3-0. I'm going to say, I said it last time and he didn't score, but I'll say it again. Kizaridis, I think he's going to get in the score sheet. Braga, he's back in amongst them again, so I'll go for him as well. And let's have a Halkett header to round things off. 3-0. Okay then, looking ahead to Saturday then. Our first game in the Scottish Cup. It is a tough draw. Falkirk have been solid. They did beat our Wednesday opponent, St Mirren, 2-0 away from home at the weekend. John, what are your thoughts about Falkirk and what are your thoughts about us getting a run in the Scottish Cup?
I think it's really important for the season, to be honest, to just try and be involved in some silverware anyway, regardless of league. Yeah, I think in any game we can beat a team in a one-off match, so I don't see why we can't go on a run. And I think we'll see some subs, but I'm going to go for 2-0. I said some subs. I'm going to say Kabore and Magnuson for the goals.
The question I've got, Adam, is that obviously Craig Gordon, he will be coming in for the St Mirren game due to the suspension for Swallow. Do you think he'll get the Scottish Cup game as well?
Yeah, so I think he definitely would have got the Scottish Cup game if it wasn't for the red card. But I think he'll probably still get it. So I'm going to say he plays against St Mirren and Falkirk, and then Toronto comes in against Celtic again.
It will be interesting to see what happens in that regard. I read someone on X saying they wouldn't be fussed about seeing us go out of the Scottish Cup if it meant we could focus more on the league, and I just don't buy into that logic at all. It's, for me, I think it's important to keep things going. You want to keep a good momentum. We want to keep winning regardless of what competition it is. We've got a big enough squad, and we've got a strong enough squad to make some really good progress in the Scottish Cup. Trunter, if I give you the option for second place league finish and a Scottish Cup right now, would you take it?
Yeah, I said I would a while back.
You're sticking with that?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to stick with that, man. Like,
Mm.
fuck, it's different. It's different this week now, but I still think the old firm are going to catch up to us. Right now, I think the old firm will catch up to us too, and I don't think we're going to win the league. And if we get a cup, then I would take that.
So you would say in that case you're a shite bag. Would that be?
Yes, yeah,
Fine.
100%.
Yeah, I respect it.
I'm a shite bag. I'm a realist shite bag, but I am
Mhm.
definitely a shite bag, and I hate myself for saying that. But that's just
You're
yeah.
honest though. You're
Thank you.
honest. Yeah.
I try. I try.
And it has been so long since we've lifted silverware. I mean, honestly, if you think about
Right?
the start of the season, right? Would you have taken second and the Scottish Cup? Of course you would have. But
I would have thought you were
you know,
taking the piss if you'd suggested that.
totally. And it's it's difficult though because you know, I don't ever recall seeing us in a position like this before. Yes, there was. We've talked about it at length. You know, the Burley era. That, uh, but the fact that Rangers and Celtic have been stuttering, look, they've got things a bit together now, but I'm still not convinced by the strength of those squads. I think I would just take the gamble and say, no, look, I want to win the league. you can tell that Scottish Cup. Even if we don't win a league this season, I still feel. I know it's going to be incredibly deflating if we don't get there, but we have to remember this Jamestown model. I've said it time and time again. It's about building and building and building and building. That's a model Celtic and Rangers don't have. So who's to say they're going to get stronger than what they've got? Yes, you can sign more, but doesn't mean they're going to get a better quality of player in. So
That's my point. This is year one. So if we can snag a cup at the moment,
I get it. I get it. I've got I've gone in too deep with this now with the hype and everything. I just think I want to take a gamble, but anyway, it's all theoretical, right? I still maintain I don't think going out of a Scottish Cup would give us any kind of advantage. It's not like it's European games where you're traveling away to some far off country for a day or two. You're going up to what Hamilton or somewhere. It's not like it's completely exhausting on players. Yes, you'll have the occasional extra game, but no, I don't see the logic in that. I just want us to keep on winning regardless. The Falkirk game, then, how are you feeling about this one, and what's your predictions ahead of it, Runner?
oh, the Falkirk game.
Yeah.
My brain's been saying 2-0 for quite a long time. I don't know why, but I think, mate, it's going to be 2-0
Fine.
to us.
Any scorers for that one?
Benny's fit, isn't he?
He will be. Yep.
Right, stick that in. And that'll be his first. And I don't know. I want to be spicy with the other one, but I think I'm just going to go with like Braga.
When you said earlier, your prediction for the midweek St Mirren game scorers would be Craig Gordon, Stephen Presley. I think both of them have a better chance than Benny, but you never know, right?
I mean, yeah, you're fair. I read this whole like interview with him about how he'd been told to like focus on getting further forward and being a bit more attacking, and how he'd been working on his shooting. And I mean, this was about 2 months after we'd started the podcast. I was already like predicting him to finish the season with some goals, but I just thought, you've done that for me, mate. You've done that for me. You're a good lad.
Adam, before I fire off my prediction, what's your score prediction for the Falkirk game and your score as well?
I'm going to say 3-0 again.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm feeling insanely ambitious. Halkett, Braga, and Kabori.
I think it'll be a closer one. Falkirk, they've recently beaten St Mirren away, as I mentioned. They've also beaten Aberdeen. They did lose, however, just for the turn of the year, to Dundee away. I think it'll be a 2-1. I think it'll also be quite a tight one because Falkirk will have nothing to lose. And they're going to put it all, they're going to put all on the line for it. So I shall say 2-1, and the scorer will be Shanklin, and he's going to score a double, one of which will be a penalty. So this week we've got a connections quiz from yourself, John. As ever, it's two former Hearts players, and Adam, Trunter, and myself have to try and guess other club connects the two players. So do you want to give us the name of the two former Jambos?
Yep, so I've gone for one more well-known one and one a bit more rogue. If we have had them before, then I apologise. We've done like 40, so it's hard to remember. The first one, obviously well-known, Stephen Elliott. And the second one is Ashley Smith-Brown. Yeah, he only played 2 games for us, so good luck.
Oh
Uh,
Christ. Okay. I'm thinking,
Right.
but
He was on
I
loan
mean,
to us, wasn't he, Ashley Smith-Brown? Like,
I was
from an
trying.
English team.
My first thought was like, where did he come from?
He was on loan from an English team, I think, quite a few years ago.
Well, he was Man City back in the
I-
day.
They were in my head as well, actually, Man City, but was Elliot at them?
John, is it Man City?
Was that all you're guessing Man City? Or you wanted to guess separate guesses?
Well, if they both think it,
Hunter can say
Well,
Man
I thought
City
like
first.
I only vaguely remember him because it was one of those ones where they're like former Man City youth product joins, and that's literally the only fucking club. If it is, then I'm the king.
well, I mean, they're both clearly going for Man City, which seems more realistic than what my guess was going to be, which is Wolves. So yes.
Yeah, Man City.
Oh, fucking hell. Honestly, you just have a knack of pulling a completely random one at the last minute. So it's just the one quiz this week because I want to let you know that next week we're hoping to have on a former player on the show. So fingers crossed that'll all come together. If so, what we'll do is we will put a message up on our socials so that you can get your questions into them. I won't say anything until we've had confirmation that we'll go ahead. As soon as we get confirmation, we'll put it out on the socials so you can ask the player anything you want about their time at Hearts. I'm sorry to be cryptic, but we'll hang fire until we've got the green light. So do make sure you follow us on our socials so you get that opportunity. You can find us on Instagram, Hearts and Sleeves Podcast there, as well as on X and Blue Sky. And of course, you can always email us at heartsandsleevespodcast@outlook.com. Cheers, everyone.